PowerPoint presentations offer several advantages in continuing education. Most instructors find that PowerPoint enhances learning by providing a clear and organized visual aid. When seminars deviate from the intended topic, instructors adapt by creating flexible presentations with editable sections. This allows them to adjust the flow and add relevant content as needed. Some instructors prefer to create their own slides to tailor the presentation to their specific audience and objectives. Others opt for pre-established presentations that offer a solid foundation. Student perspectives also favor PowerPoint. Most students prefer PowerPoint presentations because of their clarity, organization, and visual appeal. Using PowerPoint often gives the impression of a more professional and organized course provider. Students generally perceive instructors who use PowerPoint as more prepared and professional. It also conveys a sense of credibility and attention to detail. To effectively use PowerPoint, several recommendations can be followed. Consider using PowerPoint presentations to enhance the visual appeal and organization of courses. Create flexible presentations that allow for spontaneous discussions and additions. If creating original slides is challenging, pre-established presentations offer a good starting point. Use visuals, animations, and transitions to engage students and reinforce key concepts. Provide handouts or printed materials to complement the PowerPoint presentation. Practice delivering the presentation to ensure a smooth flow and effective audience engagement. Continually evaluate the effectiveness of PowerPoint presentations and make adjustments as needed. Furthermore, carefully consider the design of your PowerPoint slides. Use a consistent template with a clean and uncluttered layout. Limit the amount of text on each slide and use bullet points or short phrases to convey key information. Choose fonts that are easy to read and use a consistent font size throughout the presentation. Use high-quality images and graphics to illustrate concepts and add visual interest. Avoid using too many animations or transitions, as they can be distracting. Check for spelling and grammar errors before presenting. Effective slide design helps to keep the audience engaged and focused on the material being presented. In addition to slide design, consider the delivery of the presentation. Speak clearly and confidently, and make eye contact with the audience. Use a conversational tone and avoid reading directly from the slides. Pause briefly after each slide to give the audience time to absorb the information. Be prepared to answer questions from the audience. By practicing the presentation and being prepared to answer questions, one can deliver a more engaging and effective presentation. Another important aspect of using PowerPoint effectively is to incorporate interactive elements. These elements can help to keep the audience engaged and interested in the material being presented. Some examples of interactive elements include polling questions, quizzes, group discussions, and case studies. These elements can be incorporated into the presentation using PowerPoint's built-in features or by using third-party software. By incorporating interactive elements into the presentation, one can create a more engaging and effective learning experience for the audience. When adapting to off-topic discussions, acknowledge the comment or question and relate it back to the main topic of the presentation. If the discussion is relevant but would take too long to address in detail, offer to discuss it further during a break or after the presentation. If the discussion is not relevant, politely redirect the conversation back to the main topic. If there are a few tangents happening, create a dedicated cue and a slide at the end of the presentation to address specific questions that are not on topic. One way to adapt to off-topic discussions is to use the parking lot technique. This involves writing down the off-topic question or comment on a piece of paper or a whiteboard and setting it aside to be discussed later. This allows one to acknowledge the question or comment without derailing the presentation. At the end of the presentation, dedicate some time to discussing the items in the parking lot. This can be a helpful way to manage off-topic discussions and keep the presentation on track. When choosing between creating your own slides and using pre-established presentations, consider the following factors: the amount of time and resources available, the level of expertise with PowerPoint, the specific needs of the audience, and the overall goals of the presentation. If time and resources are limited, using a pre-established presentation may be the best option. If one has expertise with PowerPoint and a clear understanding of the audience's needs, creating custom slides may be more effective. It is important to choose the option that best meets the specific needs of the presentation and the audience. Regardless of whether one creates the slides or uses a pre-established presentation, it is important to tailor the presentation to the specific audience and objectives. This involves understanding the audience's background, knowledge, interests, and learning styles. Tailor the content and delivery of the presentation to meet their needs. Use examples and analogies that are relevant to the audience's experiences. Incorporate interactive elements to keep the audience engaged. One way to tailor a presentation to the audience is to conduct a needs assessment. This involves gathering information about the audience's background, knowledge, interests, and learning styles. This information can be gathered through surveys, interviews, or focus groups. Use the information from the needs assessment to tailor the content and delivery of the presentation. In addition to tailoring the presentation to the audience, it is also important to align the presentation with the overall goals of the course or seminar. Ensure that the presentation covers the key concepts and objectives of the course. Align the presentation with the other learning activities in the course. This could include readings, assignments, and discussions. By aligning the presentation with the overall goals of the course, it is more likely to achieve the desired learning outcomes. When providing handouts or printed materials to complement the PowerPoint presentation, here are some factors to keep in mind. Summarize the key points of the presentation, include additional information that is not covered in the presentation, provide space for notes, and use a clear and concise writing style. The handout should be easy to read and understand. By providing high-quality handouts, you can help students to retain the information presented in the presentation. When evaluating the effectiveness of PowerPoint presentations, several factors to consider. Student feedback, assessment results, and observation of student engagement during the presentation can be used to improve future presentations. Ask students to provide feedback on the presentation through surveys or feedback forms. Review assessment results to determine whether students have mastered the key concepts presented in the presentation. Observe student engagement during the presentation to see if they are paying attention and participating in the activities. Using this information, it can be determined what changes to make to the presentations to make them more effective. In conclusion, PowerPoint presentations can be a valuable tool for enhancing learning in continuing education courses. However, it is important to use PowerPoint effectively by following the tips and recommendations provided. Create well-designed slides, deliver the presentation effectively, incorporate interactive elements, tailor the presentation to the audience and objectives, and evaluate the effectiveness of the presentation. By following these tips, one can create PowerPoint presentations that are engaging, informative, and effective. Effective use of visuals is also critical. Use high-quality images, charts, and graphs to illustrate concepts and data. Visuals can help to make complex information more accessible and engaging. When using visuals, consider the following tips. Use visuals that are relevant to the content of the presentation. Use visuals that are clear and easy to understand. Use visuals that are visually appealing, and avoid using too many visuals on one slide. By following these tips, one can use visuals to enhance the effectiveness of the PowerPoint presentations. Animations and transitions should be used sparingly, as they can be distracting. Use animations and transitions to add visual interest and to guide the audience through the presentation. When using animations and transitions, consider the following tips. Use animations and transitions that are subtle and unobtrusive. Use animations and transitions that are consistent throughout the presentation, and avoid using too many animations and transitions on one slide. Practice and rehearsal are important. Practice the presentation several times before presenting it to the audience. This will help to become more comfortable with the material and to deliver the presentation more confidently. During practice, be sure to time the presentation to ensure that it fits within the allotted time. It is helpful to practice in front of a mirror or with a friend or colleague to get feedback on the delivery. By practicing the presentation, one can deliver a more polished and professional presentation. Technical difficulties can arise. Be prepared to handle technical difficulties that may arise during the presentation. Have a backup plan in case the projector or computer fails. It is helpful to have a copy of the presentation on a USB drive or in the cloud so that it can be accessed from another computer. Be prepared to troubleshoot common technical problems. By being prepared for technical difficulties, one can minimize the disruption to the presentation. Engaging with the audience is also very important. Encourage audience participation by asking questions and soliciting feedback. This will help to keep the audience engaged and interested in the material. Use a variety of techniques to engage the audience, such as polling questions, quizzes, and group discussions. Be responsive to audience questions and comments. By engaging with the audience, one can create a more interactive and effective learning experience. Finally, seek continuous improvement. Continuously seek ways to improve PowerPoint presentations. Ask for feedback from the audience and from colleagues. Attend workshops and conferences on effective presentation skills. Read books and articles on presentation design. By continuously seeking improvement, one can create PowerPoint presentations that are more engaging, informative, and effective. In conclusion, PowerPoint can be a powerful tool for teaching and learning. By following these guidelines, one can create and deliver effective PowerPoint presentations that enhance the learning experience for students. Remember to focus on clear communication, visual appeal, and audience engagement to maximize the impact of the presentations.